Hey guys, welcome back. Daylight Dave, BAC V RR. Hey, I was gonna try to do this last weekend, but I just had some personal stuff going on that I had to handle, so pretty much handle that, I hope. But anyways, back to locomotive engineer training part 2. It's called a yellow flag. This is a speed restriction flag. So what you got to do is when you pass this flag, and it's all in your paperwork, you do a job briefing ahead of time before you take off and get in an engine. But you get all your paperwork together, so it's listed in your paperwork. But anyways, this yellow flag is exactly 2 miles ahead of your speed restriction. Now, this track is my old Oakland sub, and it's 25, but the speed restriction is for the diamond, and that's 10 miles an hour. So I'll show you that. So exactly 2 miles, and you hit your counter, especially if it's foggy or something like that. You hit your counter, and your counter measures in feet, and we'll just pretend our train's 1 mile long, so 5280 feet, but in exactly 2 miles, we got to be at 10 miles an hour. Okay, so here's our diamond, and again, we got to be at 10 going over it. And you see the back of the flag, it's silver, it's kind of right there in the middle, but that's the back of the flag. Usually in the corner of the flag, it has a little reflective silver tape or whatever you want to call it. But that way you can see it day or night, and that'll kind of show up. So 10 miles an hour is just over the diamond. And again, once your rear end, we're 1 mile long, so you hit your counter, 5280 feet. But you hit your counter when you're at the head end. Your head end's even with that flag. So in exactly 1 mile, we take off and do 25. Again, that's how that all works. And again, this is a Form A speed restriction. It's all listed in your paperwork. Okay, next up, Form B. Okay, here we got a Form B restriction. This protects men and equipment. So again, exactly 2 miles ahead of your speed restriction, you got to talk to the foreman in charge. And if you don't hear from them, you got to stop before you pass the back of his flag there. Excuse me, I mean the front of the flag. I just said that backwards. So yeah, talk to him before you pass the red flag, and you kind of saw that on my real pictures. Both the yellow flag, which is sitting over there, and this flag can be less than 2 miles, but it's got to be listed in your paperwork. And that's came up on me one time, and it was like a 10 mile an hour through downtown Sacramento. And I missed the fact that it was only 1 mile instead of 2 miles. So here I got my counter. So then all of a sudden I come up on the back of the green flag, and I go, uh-oh. So I slowed down, but I kind of got into it a little too hot. Let's just put it that way. Okay, so we're cruising down the tracks here. And like I said, this is a 2 mile ahead of the red flag. We don't hear for the foreman. The foreman in the charge usually sits in a truck, and the only job he has is to talk to the train crew and give them authority to pass their red flag. And the way it works is he'll give you authority, he'll give you a speed at what he wants you to go by it at. If it doesn't say the speed, then you go by it at restricted speed, but you got to be cleared up by him. And again, it protects men and equipment. And man, if you go by, you get into a Form B, you're gone, because you end up killing people. By the way, this Form B is just on the number 1 track, and here's our crew, or our men and equipment. One guy's welding the frog, the other guy's pounding in some spikes. So they're all sitting out there, and it protects these guys. They're not on this track, not on the number 2 track, but in this case, they'd probably put it on both tracks because these guys are so close to the other track, put it in Form B. So, okay, so we're cruising along, and here's the back of the red flag. So we hit our counter. Say they told me speed through here is 50, so say they told me, hey, I want you to go by at 30 miles an hour, you go by 30, and hit your counter again at the back of this flag right here. A quick little story is the guys were just setting up their Form B, and they could put up their Form B an hour early or an hour later. But again, I was north of Lodi when the guys just set up their flags, and they had this flag backwards. So instead of facing this way, the red was facing this way. So we came up on it, we're like, oh, great. So we called him up. I called up the foreman. I was like, I wasn't sweating because I could tell he just screwed up. He put the flag backwards. So he goes, did I put that flag backwards? And he goes, yeah. So I said, we still have to stop because it's another red flag and get his authority to proceed. So we did that. Anyways, just cruise along. And here's just looking at the other direction. There's the other, we call it a yellow red flag. Okay, it's a G Corps book, and you had to have that with you. I think unless you're switching in the yard, you didn't have to carry it with you for obvious reasons because you're not sitting in an engine. But a year before I left, man, they came out with these little books, little mini books and stuff. And there's your air brake and train handling rules, and there's all your safety rules right in there. And yeah, a lot of rules to deal with, that's for sure. Okay, I'll show you those Form A and Form B rules here. And here's the rule 5.4.2 on the yellow flags. And you can tell the yellow flag is 2 miles ahead, then you got the restricted area, then you got a green flag. Now this is less than 2 miles. This one happens to be less than 2 miles. You only got a 1.5 miles that you got to be down to whatever speed is specified in your track bulletins. Okay, Form B, hang on. Okay, next rule is your Form B, yellow red flag and a red flag. Similar situation. 2 miles ahead, and you definitely have to stop unless you don't talk to the foreman. He gives you a speed. And it can be less than 2 miles, but that's got to be specified in writing. So again, here's my little mess here in Lodi where I had a green flag. So I'm currently in a 25 speed restriction. Track speed here is 45. But then in 2 miles, past this yellow flag if it focuses, then I got to be at 40 miles an hour. You know what? I never saved any track bulletins, and I wish I just saved a couple for examples, but this is kind of what it looks like. Between milepost 72 and 71.8, that happens to be the north switch at Lodi, 25. So I can hit my counter here, the head in, got my mile-long train, but then I got a 40 coming up in, well, just a little over 2 miles. 69.7 to 69, so I'll just go 40, but then my next problem is, and hang on, I'm gonna see if I can focus this. If you see the distance as a red flag, and like I said, I apologize, it's not focusing very clearly, but there's a red flag there. Less than 2 miles before, I got a yellow red flag. I called up the foreman. Actually, usually the conductor talks to the foreman, since I'm busy running. But anyways, he authorized us to pass the red flag. And he'll say something like this. Between the limits of 69.6, 69.1. Hang on. I'm trying to wait till this focuses. You have my authority past the red, or I can't remember if it said red flag or red flag indicating stop indication. I kind of forget it now, but maximum authorized speed. So we're good to go by that. We just go, might as well just go 40 since we got to be at 40 based on this track bulletin Form A. You got all that? I know there's a lot to that, but you had to make sure on our track bulletins, you had to make sure it had your lead engine number. In this case, it's 4520. If you screw up and leave your terminal with wrong paperwork or with the wrong engine number, man, we did that once. We left Oakland, and a couple miles down the line, I go, oh, son of a bitch, we forgot to change the track warrant engine number. So I just kind of called her up on the phone dispatch, and she let it slide. I'm like, oh, thank God she didn't make a big deal about it, but we could have really messed up there. Okay, this is looking south, just the opposite direction. And the opposite side, it was the 3 flags. So that particular 25 was just on this switch right here, and I'm going to zoom in and show you. These are called control points. CP stands for control point. SP072 is kind of the old Fresno, or well, it's a Fresno sub, but it's based on the SP, the old SP. So, but you can see 71.92 falls within those limits of 72 to 71.8. UPS signals their approach lit. We had some ABS signals there on the coastline, and I can't remember. I think they were pretty much approach lit as well. So, and I'll show you one last thing. I already showed you guys this. This is my timetable. Fresno subdivision, and I'll show you as I look through the camera. So there's Lodi. This is just the speed into the siding, so that's what that is. That's not the Form A restriction, so that's just the speed going through the siding. So, and there's a switch listed, 71.9. And again, the speed through this area, 69 to 70.9. And we're actually running this direction that way. But head-end restriction, that's 45. So if I didn't have that yellow flag, I just head-end restriction. So that means as soon as you get past, why am I getting confused here? Hang on. Oh, I don't know why I got confused here, but once I get by 70.9, I just pick it up. That's a head-end restriction, so I can take off and go 70, but in this particular case, I'm only going 40 because that's second speed restriction. Okay, hopefully you got all that figured out, and that's about all I'm going to say because I know this gets confusing, and some of you guys would rather just see HO train, so I'll try to do an op session this weekend. Like I said, I just was having to handle stuff, so hey, in the meantime, Photo says hi. Hopefully you guys have a great weekend, and I'm going to upload this here this morning, Thursday morning. So you guys take care. Appreciate all you guys. Daylight Dave. I guess I'm going to sign out.